I had some people come through to record, and I just like was coaching them through it. And then like when they left, I was like, oh, I should just try it. And I recorded a couple of things, hid them away in my computer, didn't show anybody because I was embarrassed. And then like 6 months to a year later, my cousin Theron, who's also now my manager, found them on a family vacation in Cape Cod, and basically was like, yo, you need to put this out. And prior to that,
Really?
I hadn't really gotten any love on SoundCloud or anything. So I just was like, okay, fine, let's finish it and put it out. So we finished it that night, put it out, and I think that first song got like 100,000 streams or something.
Whoa. Awesome. I'm Adam, and this is about you and your journey in music. And we'll talk about how you got to where you are now and the new album.
Sweet.
So I always start off, first off, where were you born and raised?
I was born in Boston, like right outside the city in this town called Belmont, and just grew up around there and that whole area.
Cool. What was it like growing up in were you close to like Berkeley at all, or I don't really know too well. Okay.
Yeah, I mean like 25 minutes probably driving. It was nice. Like it's a beautiful place. It gets really cold in the winter. The fall and spring are like gorgeous. A lot of great schools there. I feel like it's a really great place to grow up because of like so many great teachers in the area and mentors.
Cool. Like music, I'm sure is huge there.
Yeah, I mean the music is really great too. There's Berkeley, New England Conservatory, all these great programs around. So
that's awesome. And how did you get into music?
I guess I started kind of early. I think when I was I had to take piano lessons for a school thing like very early on. So I was playing classical piano like when I was like 4 years old.
Oh wow.
And I took that basically until I was like 10 or 11, and once I turned 11, I was like, I don't want to play classical music anymore. So I switched to the drums and started doing like hard rock stuff and joined a couple rock bands with my friends. And then I found the steel drum and started doing like jazz programs around Boston basically, and then started producing and kind of flourished, went to school out here and for music, and kind of turned into just my passion.
Wow. Cool. So you said you did classical piano until 11 and then you just were over it?
Yeah. I mean, I was ready to, I was listening to like Green Day at the time and
oh, there you go.
Those types of like, rock bands. So I was like, how do I,
it didn't match what you were playing.
Exactly. So I picked up the drum, started hitting stuff. And then, yeah, I guess around that same time, I joined some jazz bands around Boston because there's a ton of like nice little groups and teachers and situations around there. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. And did you like play, you talked about going to school for music and everything. Were you in the jazz band at your high school or anything like that?
Yeah. So I went to Boston College High School, which is like the high school for Boston College.
Interesting. Was that like something that it was outside of just regular public school, or was
it was
you had to apply to get in or whatever?
Yeah, it was one of those. It was I was choosing between that and just the Belmont Public School, and that they had just like slightly better program there, so I decided to go there. And yeah, it was great. Like they had the jazz program honestly wasn't the strongest there, but there was some really talented kids like in my grade and the grades above, and we had like, I don't know, 5-piece jazz band and competed around New England at different, the Berkeley competition and whatnot.
Wow. So you must have picked up drums rather quickly. I mean, to be in the jazz band, I mean, I know from what I know about jazz, it's like you got like those are the top players, right? I mean, to be able to go from, obviously you were trained classically on piano, so you understood music to a degree, but then to go to drums and then now you're in the jazz band, like That seems like a pretty quick, quick jump. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, my main instrument was the steel drum, and I picked that up probably like 3 years after I started playing drums. There was this my dad's birthday party, there was this calypso band, and the bass player is like this guy named Danny Morris, teacher at Berkeley, one of my great mentors growing up. And then this guy PJ, who played the steel pan, and he basically, we just hit it off that night, and he told my dad he wanted to teach me. He like got us a steel pan for the house and just started coming over and jamming and giving me lessons. So that was super helpful. And then also I feel like not that many people play the steel pan. So when I brought it to the jazz band, they were like, sure, there's no one else playing this, so you can play with us. And so I think being in that high level, just being thrown in it because no one really played it.
Played the instrument. I'm trying to look it up right now. I don't even really know what it looks like.
This thing right here.
Oh, dude, this is the thing.
This thing.
I love the sound of that. Is this where it's like, it almost can, yes. Okay. You're the second person I've spoke to that can play this instrument. And it's like one of the coolest sounding instruments there is, because it has like, it's like in a key, right? You could play like notes on it.
Yeah. I mean, it's fully chromatic.
Oh,
it has
man.
Like 2.5 scales. So
how did you learn that from this mentor of yours?
Yeah, he just started teaching me. And then, I mean, once you learn how everything works, then it kind of starts to make more sense. It's basically, I don't know how much you know about jazz theory and music, but it's the circle of fifths. So it's like, if you go to the right, it goes up in fifths. And if you go to the left, it goes up in fourths. And
interesting.
It all kind of just makes sense. And you have all the notes. So,
but each drum, correct me if I'm wrong, each drum has its own key, right? Like you need a D handpan. Is that how it works, or no?
They like, yes, but it's basically just what the starting note is. Like the lowest note. So mine's a C tenor, which means that the lowest note is a C, but it has all the notes like chromatically up until the high E, 2.5 octaves up. So
so you could essentially play anything with that one. You don't need to buy like a D
specific, no
steel. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I forgot who I was talking to that also played that instrument. They're in like a pretty successful thing. But yeah, I was watching videos of it on like YouTube, and it was like, I was like in a trance, like just the sound of it. I was like, this is like the coolest sounding instrument I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's a vibe. And it's really like, I mean, I think they created it like just about 50 years ago, maybe a little more now, down in Trinidad. So it's like pretty new. And no one really is, diving into it up here.
Yeah, not a whole lot of people play it, from what I would imagine. Yeah, because I looked it up. I'm like, this is rad. This would be such a cool instrument to learn. And I found it like on Sweetwater, and it was like $1,500. I'm like, all right, I guess this is something I need to figure out. Scale it down a bit and find like a starter kit. But yeah, I mean, it's such a beautiful instrument. So you learned that, and then that allowed you to get in or play with the jazz band and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So I was playing that and drums and a little bit of piano in just throughout high school. And yeah, producing at the same time. Also, like right before I went to high school, I spent a summer down in Trinidad with the family there who all played the steel pan and had like this family pan band. And they just kind of also took me around and showed me the history and the culture and made me my own pan. It was time to upgrade to like a real one.
Wow. They made you one?
Yeah. Well, this guy, Butch, made one, and they like helped shape it, I guess, and put me in contact with him. And yeah, we went to the pan yard, which is what they call it. And like, he was hammering away and like, doing all the things you have to do to make the pan.
That's crazy. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So you're producing as well at the same time, like learning what, Pro Tools or something on your computer?
Yeah, I was originally in GarageBand for a couple months, and then I was gifted Logic Pro, I think it was Logic Pro 9.
Okay.
And I was basically just messing around on that, doing some like EDM stuff. I was really influenced by Skrillex at that time too, and
Sure.
Mouse. So I was kind of trying to dive into that.
So this is what, like 2009 ish, 10,
yeah, 2000. Let's see,
or maybe earlier. That's why I worked on the radio for a long time, and that's why I remember like Dead Mouse was like
it was
hit, and Skrillex was hitting around that time.
Yeah, it was probably around I'm 25. I was like 11 or 12 maybe when I started producing. So 13 years ago, 2009.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, you sniped that. Yeah, so I was just messing around there with one of my friends, Daniel, and also my cousin Theron. And we were just putting stuff out on SoundCloud, getting no love at all, but it was fun and just we loved doing it. And then I guess a couple years later, we got more into like the hip hop pop-ish stuff. And I bought a microphone for other people to come and sing on my stuff because I would like never wanted to do that.
Oh, interesting. You didn't want to be the singer.
I was kind of shy about it, just like rapping or singing in front of other people. And then I had some people come through to record, and I just like was coaching them through it. And then like when they left, I was like, I should just try it. And I recorded a couple of things, hid them away in my computer, didn't show anybody because I was embarrassed. And then like 6 months to a year later, my cousin Theron, who's also now my manager, found them on a family vacation in Cape Cod, and basically was like, yo, you need to put this out. And prior to that, I hadn't really gotten any love on SoundCloud or anything. So I just was like, okay, fine, let's finish it and put it out. So we finished it that night, put it out, and I think that first song got like 100,000 streams or something.
Whoa.
So it was like, I was like, okay, like maybe
it's clear that was something that people were drawn to.
Before that, I hadn't gotten more than like 5,000 or something. It was nothing. So I started just kind of building that up. And I guess the kids in my high school and the surrounding areas in Boston started taking notice, and I just kept dropping some songs, and then we decided to start doing some shows and like sold out some pretty cool venues in Boston. And then, at that point I decided at the same time, I was also really focused on tennis, and I wanted to go D1 for tennis.
So wow. You're all over the place. I mean, that's crazy.
I was doing like tennis tournaments and playing, my high school actually won my freshman year. We won the state championship. And then me and my one of my best friends growing up won the doubles tournament, the individual state tournament for the doubles. So I was looking at going to D1, and I realized that tennis could take me to like, if I'm lucky, 35, 40, but music I could be exploring my whole life. So you
went with music. Was that still must have been a hard decision. Did you make it into college for music, or did you stop playing before you got to college?
You mean for tennis?
I mean, sorry, for tennis. Yeah, for tennis.
I was applying for that for my sophomore, junior year. I was like really focused on that. And then I hurt my wrist or something in my lower back. And I just realized that like, it was a whole different world and music. And at the same time, like the music was starting to pick up, and I started actually making some money from the streaming and stuff like that. Okay. So I realized that it just was it made more sense to follow.
So that song that hit like 100,000 streams or whatever, that was still while you were in high school?
Yeah.
Wow.
That was my beginning of junior year. And then
that's huge. Was that like, that must have been a pretty big deal even at the school, where people like, oh wow,
people definitely started taking notice. It was really it was Coma, which was the beginning of my senior year, that really like
Oh, that song came out when you were still in high school as well?
Yeah, that song
Oh,
came out. Yeah, that
wow.
was like 2016. So yeah, I was uh so yeah, I basically, that was the one that people started really paying attention because it had, now it has 11 million streams on Spotify, like
Yeah, it's insane.
6 million on SoundCloud or whatever. So
So
yeah,
how did that one go? Did that start on Spotify or SoundCloud as well? Or like what, tell me
yeah,
the origin kind of behind that.
that just, I dropped it on SoundCloud and it did significantly better than anything I'd done up to that till that point. I think, I mean, it got 100,000 streams way faster than my other one did. I was like, okay, maybe I should try Spotify because who knows if at that time also SoundCloud was kind of like on, there was that whole situation where they were talking about maybe not having enough funding to go further or
Oh,
whatever.
sure, sure, sure.
So I was like, okay, I need to branch out. So I just threw it up on Spotify. I was like, no one's gonna listen to it on there, whatever. And I think I just left it and forgot about it.
Mhm.
And then I logged into my TuneCore because I put it on TuneCore and I had $1,000 in there. And I was like, oh shit, where
Damn.
did this come from? And I like looked and I was like, oh, I made that in a month. I was like, holy shit, like what's happening? And I like logged on to Spotify and it had, a couple 100,000 streams. It was getting, 5 to 10,000 streams a day. And I was like, what is happening? Like, this is great. So I ended up
Was
kind
it
of,
like on a playlist or something, or people were just happened to
I
find
think it
it?
was just algorithmic. It was just
That's
like
crazy.
Spotify, what was that playlist? Spotify radio or uh not Daily Mix, but what's the one like your Discover
This
Week.
oh, Discover Weekly. Okay,
Yeah, that
sure.
was the big driving algorithmic playlist for
That's
that.
insane.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're in high school and this is happening. You're like, oh my gosh. So obviously that not only did the song prior to that do well, but then when you have another one that goes like that, that would probably made the decision a bit easier to be like, I don't know about this tennis thing. Like,
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
that's happening at the same time as like I'm dealing with an injury in tennis and like all this other stuff is happening. So I definitely, that eased me in this direction. And then so at that point I was already applying for colleges and decided to apply mostly to the music schools. Like I applied to the USC Music School,
Uh-huh.
Berkeley. I was doing like a dual program at Berkeley and BC or something. I was going to try to do that. But I got in at USC and decided to go there. Also, this guy from LA had reached out to me because he had heard my songs on SoundCloud and wanted to manage me. So I was like, great, I got like a manager in LA. I'm going to go to LA. This would be great. So I just went out there for school and I went to the pop program, the
Mm-hmm.
pop music program in USC. And yeah, then I was there for a year, met a lot of really cool people, and started working with some of the people out here. And basically my sophomore year or the summer after freshman year, I went back to Boston and made my first like mixtape, I guess, Pink Street Paradise, with
Mm-hmm.
my homie Pete Miller, who's still one of my closest friends to this day. And we were basically like releasing it over the fall. So we went back to school, but left after a week because we got an offer to go on tour. And then we got a Wiz Khalifa feature like a couple weeks
Yeah, I was gonna
later.
say,
So
yeah, you have Wiz on that album, which is insane.
yeah, yeah. So everything started to feel like it was
Working.
working. So I was like, why stay in school when I can just be doing this when I'm
Yeah,
practicing?
yeah. School's already gonna be there, right? If you're going to school to do this and you're doing it without it, yeah, that makes you obviously logical sense. You said you moved to LA, so like when your songs are doing really well on Spotify, obviously people are going to be like, "Hey, what do you got going on?" I'm sure you got a lot of that via what emails and stuff. Just if you have 11 million plays on a song, people typically will find you and send you messages. And did you say your cousin was managing you before that, or
No,
he
so
is
he
now?
actually he was the one who like started music with me and he actually
Got you.
he was putting out tropical house remixes back in the day, like around like the Thomas Jack Kygo, like that
Oh,
situation.
sure. Okay.
And he actually like popped off way more than me at the time.
Oh, wow.
With some
Okay.
remixes. And he was thinking about like going fully into music and decided to go more onto the business side. So he was just helping me like email blogs and with different, how to market my music at the time. But then, so then a different manager found me. And so he wasn't managing me at the time, but he was always just advising me and helping me with all the little things.
Okay, I understand now.
Yeah.
And so then when you get to LA, you had somebody that reached out to you that wanted to manage you, and you were going to go to USC anyway. So it was like, it worked out that way. Got it.
He seemed like a super nice, like, accomplished guy who we were talking every day, and he was super attentive. So, there's basically these three guys, these three managers that I won't name, but, they taught me so much, like, about how the industry worked. They took me on 3 tours. They
like just you're like a tour just with you, or are you supporting other artists?
I was supporting on all 3 tours. So yeah, it was like 2018, 2019, and then 2020 was the pandemic. So
yeah. So you're on tour were you on tour when the pandemic happened, or were you back or working on stuff?
Stopped touring, I think, like the beginning of 2019. That was my last tour.
Okay.
So then basically after that, I broke up with those managers. Basically in the beginning of 2019, after the last tour, it just felt like I was going more into this alternative pop rock, whatever world, and they were more in the hip hop scene. So it just didn't like stop fitting.
Sure.
And at that time, Theron, who's now my manager, was helping a lot and kind of like eased the gap between the two. So he just picked up basically all the management.
Got it.
Situation.
Responsibilities there. Well, okay, that's cool. Well, real quick on the Wiz thing, how did that happen? Was that through the managers? Like, I mean, to get him on a record, that's insane.
Yeah. So basically one of the managers found him and brought him to sign a deal with Atlantic when he was like, a teenager, before he was
before he was big.
And that deal fell through. So nothing actually happened. But Wiz, like, always felt like this guy like cared about him and wanted for him. So they're always, homies. And then my manager saw him at a bowling alley or something. It was like, yo, I got this new artist. Like, can I bring him through the studio? And Wiz was like, 100% for sure. So we went through and just like chilled, smoked some fat joints.
Of course.
And played each other some music. And that was that for that whole situation. He was like, sweet, just like keep me updated with whatever happens. And then we had the song Easy like a couple months later, and we basically hit him up and we were like, yo, like, I want to play you something. Can we come through the studio? He was like, for sure, pull up. Went through, smoked a couple more fat joints, and then played him Easy. And he was like, yo, like, this is fire. Let me hop on right now. The second verse was open. He literally cut it that night. We had it the next morning, like, just like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty chill.
Was it intimidating being in the room with him those first times playing your music to him? Like, here's my song.
Yeah, I was definitely nervous, but honestly, he's such like a nice, chill guy. And also I had been listening to him, like, he was recording when we walked in, and it was like very bare bones of a demo track. So like I immediately understood that he understood the process, and that it's not always 100%.
Right. He wasn't just sitting there in like a business suit, like, okay, play the song. Let's see what you got.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, yeah, he's a really nice guy. Like, down to earth and understands,
That's rad. That's so awesome. So then when 2020 happens, are you working on the songs that are coming out now, or like when does that happen? Like how does that obviously affects everyone, but how did that affect you as far as what you were doing with your, you know, music career, or a tour schedule, anything like that? Like how like
Yeah.
what was the
So
plan up to 2020?
basically, after the management breakup,
Mm-hmm.
we had some money settlements to take care of that. Basically, there was some financial stuff that my old management wasn't fully taken care of in the way that would have been helpful for me. I was like, 18,
Sure.
19, 20, so I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Right, exactly.
So I had to pay some money off, and I realized like I had to start writing and producing for some other people, try to like just make a bag. So I started doing that and got a couple of cuts with like Alessia Cara, Megan Trainor,
Wow.
um,
Damn.
a couple of big like sync things, like Disney and MGA, this toy company.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of like helped me get through that situation. And
Yeah,
I,
that's huge.
yeah, it was huge for the time. And I kind of lost myself in that a little bit and like forgot about how fulfilling the artist stuff was for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I'm sure it's hard when you're landing these things, right? I mean, if
yeah,
you're getting cuts with these huge artists, you're getting syncs with these big companies.
yeah, it was
It's
feeling
like,
good.
yeah,
It was nice to be like somewhat, well, not fully financially stable, but like, be able to
stable
pay
and
off
doing
my,
what you love, right? I mean,
exactly.
it's like,
Yeah,
okay, the artist thing would be cool, but this is working and it's making me money.
totally. Yeah. And so basically like the top of 2020 happened, COVID hit, and a couple of songs came out. Actually, no, this is 2021. So top of 2020 hit. I was just we had doing the same stuff, but now I had more time to myself, was meditating a lot, like out an hour a day and reading a ton and just journaling and really taking time to like work on myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's when I finished Issa, that project, and just put it out. And at that time, I was like, whatever, like just put the music out and focus on writing for other people and producing for other people. And then the top of 2021, I had a couple of cuts come out with other people, and the songs were doing well, and like people were showing it love, but I just like didn't feel full from it. I
Mm-hmm.
was just like, oh great, like the song came out, maybe money will come in, maybe not, but I'm not like that proud. Not even not proud, just like doesn't
Not fulfilled by it.
exactly, yeah. So I decided to pretty much drop most of that. I still, work with some of my close friends and stuff, but basically just focusing on, this project and just projects that like fulfill me, that I could feel like I'm a full part of.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this project and two other projects with like my closest friends and my girlfriend too, who's an amazing songwriter and artist. Um, and yeah, that's when We Love came together. And it was basically songs that I had been making for myself and stashing away for the past 5 years that finally all like came together, and I finished them and made them cohesive. And uh yeah, so that was kind of how that came together.
Wow, that's incredible. So Issa came out also in 2020. Oh,
Yeah,
like
it came
that
out in
in
2020. Nothing, or yeah, and then 2020 came out at the end of 2020.
okay.
And then nothing came out in 2021 because I was just finishing the album. And now We Love is coming out.
That's incredible. And you have a whole tour on the ways. I mean, you're doing a big tour as well, right? To
Yeah,
support it.
first headline tour, so no more opening.
That's exciting.
uh,
Is that going to be, I mean, imagine different, obviously, because you're not, it's your show, but are you going to approach it differently?
Definitely. I mean, I have more time now, and I'm able to bring more resources on the road because, I'm not getting the little fee for the opener and sing.
Yeah,
So
15 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever you get, and then a little bit of
exactly, yeah.
money. Sure.
Yeah. So definitely I'm approaching it from I can control the whole experience now. It's an event. It's like in a I'm trying to transport people instead of just taking them on a 30-minute ride before the headliner, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's cool, man. And you're doing some big dates. I mean, you're playing San Diego at the. That's where I'm from originally. I live in Nashville now,
Oh,
which
yeah.
I noticed you're not coming to Nashville, but it's cool.
Next one.
But yeah, I can. And it all starts in LA, and you've got what, a couple months until the tour kicks off.
Yep.
And are you gonna? Do you play the steel drum on stage?
Yep.
Wow, that's rad.
I'm still figuring out my setup because I don't know how much space we'll have in the Sprinter van, but I'm gonna be bringing a steel drum. I'll be playing the guitar, piano, doing some like sampling stuff on the drum pad and the didgeridoo, and then singing. So that is
Wow.
right now, but we need to see how much gear I can bring, because maybe I'll bring some more stuff.
But is it? Do you have a full band then, or is it just going to be you up there like
I
going
have
through instruments?
a drummer and a guitarist as well, who also do multiple things.
Okay.
Yeah.
But are you the only steel pan player?
Yeah. In this band, I guess.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's just
It would
like
be
I said
sick to
earlier.
get a couple more. Yeah, honestly.
It's such a rad instrument. That's awesome, and you utilize it in your records too.
Yeah, honestly, in these new ones, it's a lot more of like atmospherical stuff. It's in every song, but some people don't
Know what it
it's the
is.
drum, and because I don't know, I'm trying to also use it in ways that aren't used before, you know, because
it has a sound that you think it could be just something created like by a synth or like a MIDI controller, like just the way. But if you sit and watch somebody play it's like I said, it's like, you know, you get like entranced by it, like, oh my gosh, like, it's crazy.
Totally.
That's awesome, man. Well, congratulations on the tour and the album and everything else. And I appreciate you taking time today to chat with me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I have one more question for you before I let you go. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm still an aspiring artist, I feel like, but just don't give up. That's like, you know, no matter if you feel, you need to believe in yourself before anyone else believes in you. And if you don't, then you're just not going to make it that far. And honestly, like when I started, when I was 16 or something, and I had this song that had 1 million plays or whatever, I was like, this is a walk in the park. There's no way I'm going to fail. And then, you know, I moved to LA and I was like, this is easy. Like, I'm here. And then I got hit with reality. Like, it's not as easy as you think, but if you stick with it, I truly believe that, like, over time, you'll find your way and your path and you'll make it work. So if you love it, just keep going.